Hey guys, it's Red here, and today I'm going to be reading some r/RegularRevenge. This is such a good story too, so get ready, and here we go. Nephew's bully gets attacked by a murder of crows. My nephew, let's call him Ethan, went to elementary school about 2 blocks away from me. Since both of his parents, my sister and brother-in-law, worked, we had an arrangement that Ethan would come and stay with me after he got out of school until his parents could come and pick him up and take him home. Since I worked from home, I was able to help Ethan with homework, make snacks, and play with him. It was a pretty cozy arrangement. Ethan and I are pretty close and we had lots of fun playing catch in the yard, he's now pitching baseball, getting my butt kicked in video games, and even just relaxing with a good movie. Overall, life was pretty good, except for one problem. That problem was named Tom, another kid who lived across the street from me and was in the same grade as Ethan. Beginning in maybe 4th grade, Tom decided that Ethan would make a good target and would bully him on the walk to my house. It wasn't unusual for Ethan to show up with bruises or tears in his eyes because of the various crap Tom pulled. Ethan would never fully tell us, out of fear or wanting to protect us, what the heck was going on. This became such a problem that Ethan's parents and I complained to the principal and even tried asking our local police department what we should do. Unfortunately, their response was all the same. Ignore him, we can't do anything because there's no proof, it's not happening on school grounds, make friends with him, kids will be kids, etc. Since the attacks were happening during the walk to my house, I started showing up at Ethan's school to walk him to the nearby baseball field to practice pitching and batting. This worked for a couple of weeks and Tom was never a problem, probably because he saw the baseball bat I was carrying and I'd look at him with, "I will not be afraid to use this on you if you pick on Ethan around me," glaring in my eyes. Unfortunately, this just led to the bullying happening at school, and it was even worse this time around because Ethan needed his auntie to help him. Once again, the school did nothing because they're about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. We even went to Tom's parents, begging them to knock some sense into their son. I won't go too much into that confrontation because we'll be here forever, but let's just say that home environment was probably a good reason for why Tom was picking on Ethan. During this time, Ethan was miserable. He was too afraid to go outside and play because Tom would be there to harass him, and he admitted to me later that while he loved me and was happier that I'd walk him home, he wanted to be a big boy and take care of his own problems. To say that Ethan's parents and I were at our wits' end is an understatement. We wanted to help him more than anything, but with both Ethan being withdrawn and being out of resources, it was safe to say our hands were tied. That was until one evening in the middle of Ethan's summer vacation between 4th and 5th grade. I was watching the news and I came upon a special on corvids, ravens and crows. A research team did an experiment on wild crows and ravens to test their memory, and it turned out that these birds not only had a sharp memory, but would attack anyone who did another crow harm. The best part? They never forget. Even after several weeks or months, they remembered the good and bad people. I knew we had a local murder, a flock of crows, nearby, and decided to put this little tidbit of knowledge to the test. With only 2 months to go until school started again, and Tom and his family away on vacation and summer camps, I didn't waste time. I bought a huge bag of birdseed, and at the times Ethan would walk home, I would walk the path and drop little handfuls of birdseed in full view of the crows, always remembering to take a different route to get to the school so that way the crows wouldn't get confused. It took maybe a week or so before I'd noticed more crows arriving, and they eventually started leaving shiny things, bottle caps, buttons, discarded gum wrappers, etc. for me to find. Once I was sure I had the crows knowing I was the good guy, I brought Ethan into this. We'd walk the path and feed the crows. Soon enough, the crows would start coming out and we'd be friendly with them, giving them names and listening to them gossip while sharing news of our own. We must have looked really weird to the neighbours. But Ethan really enjoyed it and even looked up things about corvids on his own. He learned that the shiny stuff the crows were leaving was a form of currency and thank you presents. Thinking this could be helpful, he started collecting other shiny things for the crows and would leave those in addition to the birdseed. With 2 weeks to go until school started up again, I began phasing myself out at the afternoon feeding times, so eventually it was Ethan who was feeding the crows and leaving gifts on the walk home. The day before school started, I gave Ethan a bag of birdseed in addition to his shiny things and winked at him. Sure enough, at the same time Ethan would come home, I heard the crows cawing and what I thought was a little girl screaming. I stepped outside and saw Tom running towards his house, the crows dive-bombing him and pecking at him. Further down the path, Ethan was laughing so hard at the sight of his bully running and screaming like a little girl that he fell to the ground. Tom peeled into his house and locked the door as I walked over to Ethan and helped him up. Of course, I had to get the juicy details, so I asked what happened. Ethan was walking home, spreading the birdseed and leaving the shiny things per usual. About halfway home, Tom pounced, making some nasty cracks I won't repeat here, before punching Ethan. That's when a crow dive-bombed Tom. When he tried hitting it away, more and more showed up until the whole murder, who were watching, were ganged up on Tom. I was smiling sweet tears of revenge at our little feathered friends, especially when I saw the whole murder crowded around Tom's house like it was a set from Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. Needless to say, Tom and his family did not have a pleasant experience the remainder of the school year. There was at least one crow in front of his house watching and waiting for him to come out so he could peck and chase him around. And every afternoon the murder was protecting Ethan on his walk home. Of course, Tom's parents tried to protect their kid by swinging baseball bats and other things to keep the crows away, but we quickly learned that crows talk to each other, and soon the whole murder was on them too. They tried to take legal action against Ethan, his parents, and me for training the crows to attack Tom. But that got thrown out the window really quick because they had no proof of us training the birds, as they had been gone all summer break and none of the neighbours wanted to help them. Apparently the murder of crows weren't the only ones Tom's family pissed off. So for the rest of the year, Tom had to be driven to and from school so he and his family wouldn't get attacked. When summer started, they moved away, probably to be rid of the murder of crows. Ethan has moved on to middle school, but we still visit the murder and leave shiny things for them. Just in case. In Australia, we have these birds called magpies, and in the mating season, when they're so vicious, they will attack you, like they'll dive bomb you, and it's quite scary. But they will remember people too. So if they know you and they know you're not a threat, they'll leave you alone most of the time. But if they don't know you or they're like in a high traffic area, they'll attack. Like we had some that were really vicious when as you walked into our high school. And it was, it's horrible. But I don't think they're quite as smart as ravens and crows. And I think, if I remember correctly, ravens and crows actually pass the knowledge of who's good and who's bad down through the generations. So not just to the rest of the murder, they pass it on to their offspring. So it's probably good that Tom and his parents moved away, because it would never end. They would just keep being enemies of the crows. I really hope you guys enjoyed that r/RegularRevenge story, read by me, Red. Please give the video a like if you did enjoy it, and don't forget to subscribe as well if you haven't done that already. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.